Alhamdulillah. Good afternoon, everybody. Dear reverend brothers and sisters, live I am today to talk about American prominent feminist literary critics or well-known feminist writers. American prominent feminist writers who contributed much to build up all kinds of rights and privileges, namely the liberty of thought, liberty of expressions, liberty of writing and working, and also liberty of casting votes and so on. They also revalue women's expressions, experience. They also think of the biological as well as the social aspects of women. So let's discuss the prominent figure in the field of feminism, especially feminist literary criticism. First of all, Alice Walker. Alice Walker is a very significant feminist writer, and she's an American feminist literary critic. She is an avowed feminist, and she believes in the term feminist to mean a black feminist or a feminist of color, and she is mainly famous for her remarkable anthology In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, a ominous prose, a collection of 36 different separate pieces. Then Katie Chopin. Then Katie Chopin is an American feminist literary critic. She is also an avowed feminist, and she is considered to be the forerunner of the 20th century's early American feminist and modernist writers. And she is mainly famous for her novel The Awakening, dealing with a woman's struggle against the patriarchal norms of the late 20th century society, or a young woman's unorthodox struggle against the 19th century's norms of femininity and motherhood. Actually, the novel Awakening is a realistic novel bearing the characteristics of the naturalist movement influenced by Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Chopin, like other naturalist writers, suggests that one's heredity and social environment determine the characters. Next, Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Charlotte Perkins Gilman is also an American feminist literary critic. She was a prominent American humorist, novelist, and writer of short stories. She was a utopian feminist and served as a model, a role model for her future generations of feminists because of her unorthodox concepts and lifestyles. And she is mainly famous for her remarkable semi-autobiographical short story, The Yellow Wallman, The Yellow Wallpaper, The Yellow Wallpaper, which she wrote after a severe bout of postpartum psychosis. After that, Mary Ellmann. Mary Ellmann, being an American writer, a literary critic, especially a feminist literary critic, is mainly famous for her book, remarkable book, Thinking About Women, dealing with the evolution of the representation of femininity in British and American literature. She reveals sexual analogies and stereotypes from the text by contrasting criticism between male and female authors. Actually, how one should understand and realize the woman is her logic, is her point. After that, Catherine Marie Millett. Catherine Marie Millett, being an American feminist writer, educator, artist, and activist, has been described as a seminal influence on second wave feminism. She is mainly famous for her well known book, Sexual Politics. It's another seminal work dealing with the rights of women. The book is regarded as a classic of feminism and one of the fundamental texts of radical feminism. Furthermore, Elaine Showalter is a very significant American feminist literary critic, and she is one of the founders of feminist literary criticism in United States academia, and she is mainly famous for her gynocriticism. She also introduced the idea of androtext and gynotext. And finally, Betty Friedan. Betty Friedan was an American feminist writer and activist. She was a very leading figure in the women's movement in the United States of America, and she is mainly famous for her well-known book, The Feminine Mystique. The Feminine Mystique dealing with sparking the second wave of American feminism in the 20th century. And finally, Margaret Fuller. Margaret Fuller was also an American journalist, educator, feminist literary critic, and advocate of women's rights, especially education and employment. And she was mainly associated with the American Transcendentalism movement, and she was the first full-time American female book reviewer in journalism, and she is mainly famous for her notable book, notable work, Women in the 19th Century, which is considered to be the first major feminist work in the United States in English language and literature. So all of them worked mass for the spread and development of the feminist literary criticism. They have fought for the extension of Enlightenment discourses and sovereign rights to women as fully human subjects. So that's all for today, and thank you very much for your cooperation and coordination.